more ball, fewer infractions. This begins in 2020. The future is near. More access, more everyone, more everything.
August 28th, 2019, show number 27.
This is history begun. This is the XFL.
What is up, my friends, and welcome to another edition of the XFL Weekend Review. I am your host, The Mark, and on this week's show, the Dallas Renegades say, nah, Johnny Manziel. Andrew Luck retires from the NFL. XFL's in his future. We'll get into all that and more. So how do you get in touch with the show? You email podcast@xflnewshub.com with your MP3 or your thoughts, or just use the hashtag XFLArmy on the Twitter. Cutoff time is 5 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday. Remember to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts so we can read it on the show. Of course, the question of the week this week, which XFL city has the worst team name and logo? We always talk about the best. We'll get into the worst. We'll have my ranking of the XFL team names, and you'll be surprised at that. Plus, so much more. Remember, we got our iPhone app and our Android app. Check those out. Our Android app blew up a lot with the XFL announcement of the team names. That was really exciting. Tons of new downloads for that. Oh, of course, and also check out us on Dallas Radio, 1160 AM, KBDT Sports Day with John Clements, Saturdays and Sundays this weekend. This weekend is going to be real interesting, XFL fans, because this is the final week of preseason games, and by Sunday, Monday, we should have NFL Cutdown Day. Ooh, who is going to be out there? Who's going to get picked up by other teams? And who's going to get picked up by the XFL? Players are next, friends. More players are next getting signed up. So excited about that. We got news, we got your social media stuff, and so much more. So without further ado, folks, let's just get into the week that was the XFL. As the NFL world recovers from the stunning announcement of Andrew Luck's retirement, the 29-year-old quarterback of the Indianapolis Colts, fans and NFL pundits are asking if there's a possibility that Andrew could make the jump to the XFL. As we all know, his father is the XFL commissioner and CEO, Oliver Luck. Well, according to Pro Football Talk, that doesn't seem likely. See, the only way he could play in the XFL is if he had permission from the Colts, and that ain't gonna happen. See, according to Pro Football Talk, paragraph 3 on the standard player contract makes clear the ability of a team to go to court to block the effort of a football player to play football for a different league. Quote, without prior written consent of the club, player will not play football or engage in activities related to football otherwise than for a club, or engage in any activity other than football, which may involve a significant risk of personal injury. Player represents that he has a special, exceptional, and unique knowledge, skill, ability, and experience as a football player, and the loss of which cannot be estimated with any certainty and cannot be fairly or adequately compensated by damages. Player therefore agrees that club will have the right, in addition to any other right which club may possess, to enjoin player by appropriate proceedings from playing football or engaging in a football-related activity other than for club, or from engaging in any activity other than football, which may involve a significant risk of personal injury. So, for the foreseeable future, Andrew Luck is done playing football, friends. Really sad. And that his career is over. Really shocking, but understandable. Eventually, though, Oliver Luck is going to have to address this with the XFL. Next time Oliver Luck goes on television, you know he's going to get asked. And we were sure that Oliver would much rather have the focus be on the XFL, especially after all the team name stuff going on and the kickoff in 2020, rather than having to talk about his son's real stunning retirement. Now, could we see Andrew Luck as a coach in the next couple of years in the XFL? Well, you see, his former offensive coordinator is Pep Hamilton, the head coach of the DC Defenders. So that could happen, but not for several years. Andrew Luck is going to lay low, spend some time with his family, chill out, recoup from his multiple injuries. Maybe he'll get the itch, but not anytime soon. You see, the decision to retire, then jump to the XFL or coach in the XFL, that ain't going to happen. And actually, to use the words of XFL owner Vince McMahon, no chance in hell. According to a report in the Dallas Morning News, the XFL Dallas Renegades are passing on quarterback Johnny Manziel. Director of Player Personnel Daryl Moose Johnston said they are not interested. That's what Johnston had to say about Manziel. Quote, "For me, the chemistry in the locker room is critical, and especially the quarterback position. He kind of sets the tone, especially for the offensive side of the ball, but really for the whole team. There is so much added responsibility that goes with the voice of the franchise, and I haven't seen that from Johnny on a consistent basis that I would feel comfortable committing to him." Close quote. Now, Johnston was the director of player personnel for the San Antonio Commanders of the AAF and passed on the controversial QB when he made his jump back from the CFL to the AAF. With the Renegades off the table, this leaves only one possible Texas franchise interested in Manziel. That would be your Houston Roughnecks. Their head coach, Junes Jones, has spoke highly of Manziel in the past. Jones and Manziel was Manziel's coach briefly in the CFL before being traded from Hamilton Tiger Cats to the Montreal Alouettes. But he was later banned from the CFL for reasons unknown. Is it drug-related? Some people were saying it's because he was negotiating with the AAF. I don't really know. But he left and then signed with the AAF before that league folded in 2019. There is still a possibility of interest from one of the other potential 6 XFL head coaches. However, going into the inaugural XFL season, coaches will want to have a player who's accustomed to their system. Even better, they would have one that they've worked with in the past, aka Dallas Renegades, Bob Stoops, and quarterback Landry Jones. Of course, we all know he recently signed with the XFL. But so aside from June Jones, none of the other 6 head coaches worked with Manziel. That's the key. This is what people don't understand. The XFL coaches are going to bring in somebody that they have worked with before and who's probably older. None of these young guys, because they want to win now, they're trying to establish their team, and it only makes sense to bring in a guy that you've worked with before to help that process. You don't want to go with a brand new team, brand new teammates, and then a brand new quarterback that has no idea about your offense. Now, granted, they'll have December, January, February to get things going. Still, you would rather have a guy that is accustomed to your play calling or knows you or you know of what you're going to get. Because they might get a guy and he sucks or he's a jerk. And then what is the coach going to do? He's going to be SOL. So with the NFL preseason about to close and no team interested in signing the QB Johnny Manziel, the XFL is really his only option. And if Manziel is not part of the XFL draft, which we're going to know about soon, his career could be officially over. Well, unless he wants to play in the Arena Football League. I don't think that's going to happen either. All right, we'll be back with your social media stuff and my ranking of the XFL team names and logos right after this. Stay tuned. Listen up, XFL News Hub fans. We got something for you. We have an Android app for your phone. That's right. We're excited to announce the launch of this app, and best of all, it is free. So you get all the breaking XFL news and information from XFL News Hub right on your phone. All you have to do is visit the Google Play Store, type in XFL or near the top, or just search for XFL News Hub. That's right. In the Google Play Store, that's all that you need to do. So what do you get with this app? You get the latest news from XFL News Hub, the premier XFL news source in the world, in the universe. You get push notifications when we post a new story. That's optional. You turn that on and off, so you get notifications when breaking news happens. You can leave a comment right from your phone. You don't have to be on the website. You just leave it right on your phone. You can get, of course, this podcast on your phone as easy, and you can leave us a review on the Google Play Store. You can do that too. Plus links to all of our social media accounts. So it's very simple. Just head over to the Google Play Store, type in XFL News Hub, and download your XFL News Hub app for the Android phone today. All right, we are back, and here is the question for next week. I want to pose that out there. Who has the better team names and logos, AAF or XFL? Message us, podcast@xflnewshub.com, or leave us a message on social media about who has the better team names and logos. AAF, did they, or is the XFL? We'll get back to that next week's show, plus with all these NFL Cutdown Day, well, full coverage of that. But on to something a little lighter before we get to the social media stuff. Of course, your pal, the Marks, ranking of the XFL logos and team names. So drum roll, please. Okay, whatever. No sound effects. Starting at the bottom, number 8, Los Angeles Wildcats. Now, I like the LA part, and I like the colors, but Wildcats is the high school team. That was my high school mascot. And when we talked about with my kids, with the high school mascot, Wildcats, they started talking about High School Musical. And to me, Wildcats is a very bland, generic kind of name, not really creative. So I'm putting that at number 8. But I do like the LA part of the logo. It's cool. And the colors are cool. But again, just to preface this, I really liked all of the logos. I think they're all great. And I like the team names. Maybe a couple could be a little bit better. But all in all, I thought the logos and names are pretty cool. So anyway, number 7, my DC Defenders. That's right, America's team, the DC Defenders. I thought it was I like the shield and the little lightning bolts and the DC in there, the DC Defenders, because in Washington, DC, you have the Washington Capitals, Washington Wizards, Washington Redskins, Washington Nationals, but you have DC United and DC Defenders. I like that part. The shield and just Defenders, I kept thinking, I'm in my 40s, so I'm thinking Defenders, the video game. I do like the shield. I'm not really sure what the lightning bolts are as far as Defenders go. Maybe they wanted to have guns, but then maybe that wasn't politically correct. And the 3 stars, like a general. And we had heard that Defenders might possibly be the XFL DC name, but I put that at number 7. Number 6, Seattle Dragons. I like the logo, but again, Dragons. Surge would have been interesting because it had been different and something that we haven't heard of. But I do like Dragons. It's cool. I'm fine with that. Number 5, Tampa Bay Vipers. We have it at number 5. Vipers, I like the name. I like the V with the logo. And that's like an eye almost. This is pretty cool. Vipers at number 5. Number 4, Houston Roughnecks. Love the name Roughnecks. The Oiler thing is from the Houston Oilers. So that's why I would have had that higher. I think out of all the names, I think the Roughnecks, the name is the best. But the logo is just the Houston Oiler thing. So that's why they dropped down to number 4. Number 3, St. Louis Battlehawks. Battlehawk is a different name. I really like the logo with the soldier, with the sword, and then the wings and flying, and St. Louis all kind of ties in together. St. Louis Battlehawks, and this whole thing where if you flip it upside down, it's pretty cool too. You'll have to try it and see for yourself. Battlehawks, again, is a different name. I think they put it together, the Battlehawks and the logo. Nailed it right there. St. Louis. Number 2, my old hometown. It's where I'm born and raised. New York Guardians. I really like that little tiger dude with the red teeth and the face, and the Guardians. Something different. I like the name. I really like the logo. And then the Guardians. It's different. Something we haven't seen before. And number 1, the Dallas Renegades. I like the guy, the colors, the red eyes. This is a cool one. So number 1, Dallas Renegades. So my ranking, at number 8, LA Wildcats, 7, DC Defenders, 6, Seattle Dragons, 5, Tampa Bay Vipers, 4, Houston Roughnecks, 3, St. Louis Battlehawks, 2, New York Guardians, and number 1, Dallas Renegades. Let us know what you think by leaving us some comments. Am I way off or am I right on target? Give us your ranking too. All right, on to the social media fun, as we always have here. First, we'll get to the Twitters. XFL_endzone. AAF folded because they never had their investments cleared with Vince's wallet and Oliver's football IQ and major media partners. XFL 2020 has a real shot to capture a huge audience, but nothing's a sure thing. This is true. However, I think the XFL is definitely close to a sure thing. They will definitely be good the first year at least. They're in for the first year. I think that 3-year window is right on point. I think that they'll hit that 3-year window. And that's what I think they're shooting for. We need to be around for 3 years, see what happens, and get a fan base and get fans interested. Pete Topoulos says, I think people went in the first time expecting wrestlers to show up. I went in as a season ticket holder and watched good football. Vince learns from mistakes and has more money. Should be fun. Talking about the initial XFL, a former season ticket holder of the original XFL. Wow. We don't really hear that very often. New Musical Mike says, it's weird anyone would even suggest that as a scenario. I'm talking about Luck's son, Andrew Luck, retiring. He clearly retired to stop playing football and risk worse injury. Why would jumping to the XFL or any league make sense given that? Absolutely. There was no question that wasn't going to happen. But people were still talking about it. Tori Butterang, again talking about Andrew Luck, says, it is a sad time to be alive. The source told you why he's retiring, and some people do not want to believe the information when coming directly from the source. Usually when a person tells you something about themselves, you either A, believe it, or B, think that person is trash. It's true. The fact that they booed him, I mean, it was like, dude, just season's about to start. And if, maybe you would be like, hey, this is going to be my last season. That's the only part that was kind of troubling. The team was waiting for you, and the team was going to make a run at a big playoffs, and you retired just before the season starts. And it seems like it came out of nowhere, and people were stunned and surprised. So that's on the Twitters. There's a lot more Twitter. I got a ton of Twitter messages. I try to sift through them all to get you some of the best ones. But again, always find us on social media. There's tons of stuff out there. All right, talking about XFL teases the team names. Phoenix writer on YouTube says, hey, Seattle Dragons, get your paws off our UAB Blazers logo. Go Blazers. Leon M. Guardians have the best name, colors, and concept, like the Defenders and Wildcats as well. It's completely opposite. It's so funny. I've heard so many people see the HM Nation talks about the New York Guardians. Like in that name, Michael F. Bender says the St. Louis Battlehawks. Leon says, so much for don't release the names during the NFL season. The XFL names were number one trending on Twitter, got massive attention. Uniforms, rules, tier 1 signings, and the draft will all be during the NFL season. Good point. I think, that was trending. It wasn't our biggest day ever on XFL News Hub. I'll tell you that. But the difference from one day to the next, because the interest in XFL just exploded after that. And now let's just keep this momentum going. We have NFL Cutdown Day. We have the draft. And especially if some of these franchises like Tampa Bay or New York, Seattle will be good. DC, the Redskins will be bad. St. Louis doesn't have a team. LA should be in it. Houston should be in it. Dallas will be in it. But if some of these teams, and Seattle's team will be in it, some of these teams start to falter and the season's over, fans are going to be like, well, at least we have XFL in the spring. The HM Nation asks, will they broadcast their draft on TV? Not sure yet about that one. But we will keep you posted. I think it's going to be online. It's supposedly 2 days long. And it will be online. It's got to be. I mean, it's free. You could just stream it anywhere. Just plug it in. Urban Delinquent. Moss is my favorite coach so far. Hope he does good. But Seattle Dragons is my favorite team. And I'm from the Bay Area. Love Coach Moss. Guardians have the worst name by far. Owen Klein. It's just the same thing as Defenders. They should have called them the Gargoyles, especially since the logo is one. Gargoyles would have been a weird one. But I hear what you're saying. Adam June, New York Guardians have the best name and logo. As Heel, XFL News Hub, what's your thoughts on Tanner Magnan possibly signing with the XFL for the 2020 season? Do you believe that he deserves a spot in Tier 1, 8 QB position for Houston? And one more question. The NFL is going to move the Raiders to Las Vegas. What's your thoughts about XFL Oakland? Is it possible? Tanner Magnum, definitely not a tier 1 guy. You're going to get some name that people recognize. I think another tier 1 guy. I mean, if the XFL hasn't announced that Ryan Mallett is not a tier 1, then guys like Tanner Magnum is not going to be a tier 1 guy. They're going to really make a big splash with these tier 1 guys. They're waiting to see what happens on NFL Cutdown Day. We're going to find out within the next week or two, and especially before the draft, who the tier 1 guys are going to be. As for Oakland, absolutely. If I am the XFL, Oakland is in my wheelhouse. But clearly, like, Oakland Raiders were in Oakland, then they were the LA Raiders, and then they went back to Oakland, and now they're the Las Vegas Raiders. Maybe they're going to go back. Oakland is a spot that you might want to take and have some fun with that. Now, clearly, you couldn't use the Raiders colors. But it's so fun. It's so good to know that fans are already clamoring like, hey, when are we getting expansion in the XFL? And they haven't even played yet. Shad says Battlehawks. Donald says 2 words, STL Battlehawks. He also says, wow, how long are they going to pick the rosters for Team 9? I'm interested in joining and playing for Team 9. But my preference is joining St. Louis squad at some point. Missed out on the showcase. Now my option is Team 9, hoping to work my way to St. Louis or practice squad. We get this question so much when it comes to guys that want to try out and be in it. Your only shot right now is to sign up for the spring league, and they have showcases. They'll have another showcase coming up here, I think in September as well. So you can, that's it. But you got to pay to play in the XFL or in the spring league. But tryouts are done. I can't tell you how many people, I put it all over the website on the contact us page. Do this, go to FAQ of the XFL or go to the spring league, and they still message me. Hey, can I try out? On to our question. Worst team name and logo. We'll go to the Instagram first. Dave Del Conte says Tampa Bay Vipers, legit, only a V, horrible logo, but the name is They could have done so much with that logo, but they decided on a V. Wow. Dave _Demery, Los Angeles, NZ7FL, Battlehawks. Who comes up with the names of the teams? Kyle For Real, by far, St. Louis Battlehawks. Remember they were on my Louis. Chevy 1144, St. Louis and DC. Briztask _85. Good name. Spice up the logo. Chauncey Gilroy, St. Louis. Beast. Battlehawks is a horrible name. Finley _XP. Roughnecks. Sounds stupid. Shane South. Dragons is a pretty horrible name. Mark.Galacado. Guardians. Also says, I like the old XFL names better. Okay, I understand why. Violence and Gun, they're using, sadly, Hitman was going to cheer for an NY, but Guardians doesn't work for me. Think we'll cheer for Houston because it reminds me of the Oilers. You're going to hear so many different versions of what people like and don't like. I definitely think that they've hit at least what you need to when it comes to these logos, because you can't keep all the fans happy. But you see, it's not like everybody is like, I hate the LA Wildcats logo and team name. St. Louis, for me, was number 3. And all of Instagram had him as the worst. On to the Facebooks. Dewan talking about XFL Dallas Renegades to pass on Manziel. He's going to Houston. Avon says smart. Is he a tier 1 guy? I don't know, man. I don't know what's going on with Manziel. I don't think the XFL is interested in, to be honest with you. Him and Kaepernick, I don't think they care. I don't think they're interested. About Andrew Luck retiring, Lewis says might not play, but he still could be useful for the league. Absolutely. I don't think he's going to do anything. I could totally see him being a coordinator. Daniel says, but if he retires, he is not under contract anymore, right? Wrong. The Colts own him for a long time. Unless Andrew Luck wants to play in the XFL when he's in his 40s, 10 years from now, pretty much the Colts have right of first refusal based on their contract. So he's stuck. And that would be crazy for him to play in the XFL rather than the NFL. One of our articles this week is 6 possible players to get an XFL commissioner invite, which was written by our man Sean. Getting some interest out there with his article. Dan says, of the list, I say Trent Richardson and Hakeem Nicks are most likely will be in the XFL. Agree with that. Paul says, do not invite 1 or 3. Who is 1 and 3 on the list? Colin Kaepernick is 1. Jonathan Manziel is 2, just in case you're wondering. Brent says, number 2 all day. Who is number 2 on the list? Timothy Tebow. He's not going to be there either. Definitely don't think he'll be on the list as well. More about the team name. Zach says best XFL team name is St. Louis Battlehawks. Remember, we just had everybody said the worst one was St. Louis Battlehawks. He said the worst, probably LA Wildcats. Too many NCAA teams that have that name. Too many. Wildcats, put on his. See, now he agrees with me. And of course, we had some fans. Worst team logos. Are you ready? Dustin, not a bad name, but seems like a missed opportunity. St. Louis, not to be the Vipers. Marcus says, Dustin was thinking I was the same thing. That St. Louis Vipers. Interesting. Niall, New York and Houston are the worsts. Ozzy says Seattle. Don, LA Wildcats. So generic, would have loved to see in the old LA Express. They just want to move. XFL wants to totally move away from the past. No doubt about that. Kyle says, huge Battlehawks guy here. LA has the most generic name. I think the Roughnecks have the best logo. Benes says, LA Wildcats, Tampa Bay Vipers. It's going to be hard to actually watch these two teams when the season starts and really enjoy them as much as I love Coach Moss and really respect him. I can't really respect the team names and colors, maybe, but the logo is just horrible. The same with the Tampa Bay Vipers. He's not a fan. Bill, Tampa Bay Vipers. Ryan, LA by far. Ozzy, Tampa Bay should have gone with the Tampa Bay Bandits of the old USFL Vipers. Will not do it for me. See, I like the Vipers. Daniel, LA Wildcats. Brent, I'm still angry about the Seattle Dragons. I'm from Seattle and was excited to have a Seattle team, but I'm not as excited anymore. Dragons just seem stupid, but oh well. Jared, LA Wildcats. Rick, LA Wildcats. Keith, Renegades logo was taken directly out of EA Sports video game. Not sure they got away with that. Junior, worst name and logo, Wildcats. Bunch of more LA, Los Angeles, Vipers. Didn't like them. Guardians. Corey says, worst name by far are the Vipers. So there you have it. At least a lot of people with the worst one are with me on the LA thing. On to your emails. We got a bunch of emails. First, Kenneth says, could the XFL consider Colin Kaepernick QB to a team roster? I don't think he's going to be involved at all, Kaepernick. Donald says, how will I see games on cable TV and will it be free? Should it be free TV to get interest in new league? Yes, check out what we got going on there. We have the schedule. It's going to be on free TV, Fox and ABC. You'll be fine there. Michael says, got me hooked. Can't wait for 2020. Us too. Super excited. These are messages coming from the Android app. Mike says, when will it be Philadelphia team in the XFL? Not sure when we're going to get a Philadelphia team expansion, but I see fans are already talking about expansion. Listen, if you don't have a team name, DC Defenders is your team because it's America's team. Why is it America's team? Because it's in Washington, D.C., the capital of the United States of America. DC Defenders is America's team. Josh on Twitter says the XFL names and logos are decent, aren't they? Could have been better, but they also could have been a lot worse as well. Middle of the road. I agree with that. David says, welcome back. I'm excited to see the amazing talent from the XFL. Robert checking in, first-time emailer. I've got my deposit down for the Houston Roughnecks. I am super excited to hear hear the announcement yesterday. As soon as I heard all the team names, I went to XFL.com to buy my gear. The XFL shop was down. That's ridiculous. I think they lost a ton of money by making people wait to get the gear. True, but you just had to wait till Saturday and the gears were up there. The site should have been up as soon as the names and logos were announced. What are your thoughts? They did announce when they put out the press release that the merch would be up on Saturday. Yeah, they probably did lose some money as people would just impulse buy and didn't realize to come back on Saturday. Logistics, maybe. Yeah, but I don't know what the deal is with that. Skip checking in says, let's put the XFL on top. This league will offer a dynamic experience that the fans are missing and it waiting for action-packed football. Let's get small things get underway and something big call. Just call me the heartbeat of Dallas. Skip. Heartbeats of Dallas Renegades. Paul says, hi, my name is Paul. When are we going to know what the uniforms look like for all 8 teams? Are you going to have teams football programs online? I guess. I would assume that the uniforms will come out before the draft. That is my guess. Because this way you're going to have the quarterback holding the uniform. Great pictures. Fans will get excited. It'll be all over ESPN, etc. Ricky, just a question. Do you know if the XFL will have plans for fantasy football? I would be elated if they would. Thanks for your time. Yes, we asked Oliver Luck personally that they are working with potential partners for fantasy football. Here's something that I was talking to my buddies with the other day about fantasy football in the XFL. You can't have any more than 4 teams in your fantasy football league for the XFL. There is only 8 quarterbacks. So really you need the starting quarterback and a backup. You can't have 8 teams unless that's the most that you can have. And you're stuck with that quarterback. And it's like, if you play fantasy XFL and you have 8 teams, basically you have the DC quarterback and that's it. Like that DC Defenders is your quarterback, no matter who it is. If whoever gets injured, that's it. So it's not like you can have a 20-team XFL league because there's not enough quarterbacks to go around. I didn't even think of that. Nicholas, number 1 emailer, giving us some team names: Anthony Thomas, Braden Galloway, David Fales, Sam Bradford, Bo Scarborough, Troy Fumagalli, Cabrig Bibbs, Tay Martin, KD Cannon, Chadwick West, Jaquez Rogers, Daniel Lasco, Risherod Green, Dontrell Iman, Kelvin Benjamin, Terrence Williams, Kobe Fleener, to name some names that could potentially make the XFL. Yixiphany says, Will Hill, did Will get into any of the teams? When will we find it? When will we find out? Don't know if Will Hill made it to any teams. You can check our player tracker, thanks to our friends at XFLboard.com and Greg Parks for lending us the data that they collect every night, scouring the internet, finding all of the XFL players that have announced that they got an invite. And we got about 120, 130 names or so on that list, that tracker. It keeps bombing out for some reason. I think I might have it fixed, but just keep me posted. We'll figure it out. And that's it for this show. We're all done. What do you think about that? So remember, next week's question, who had better team names and logos, AAF or XFL? Message us that for next week's show. And remember, if you want to be part of the show, just podcast at xflnewshub.com. Very simple. Or you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, XFL News Hub. And remember, you can download our Android app on Google Play or our iPhone app on iTunes. You'll get alerts with breaking news. We always shoot them out there. And please leave us a review on iTunes or Apple Podcasts, and we'll read it on the show. We're thinking about a contest. If you have an idea for a good contest, I want to give away some XFL merch. on a good contest. I haven't had a good idea for a contest idea. Message me on any of the social media platforms. Let me know. Remember, you can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, YouTube, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, and Stitcher. Thanks for listening, y'all. Enjoy the final week of preseason games and NFL cutdown day as we get to the road to 2020. It is getting there. We're getting some players. We got team names, and now we'll get some guys in a draft. So much fun going on. Mahalo to all my friends in Hawaii. Miss you guys. God bless you all, and I will see you all later.